Hello, everyone. I am Sanjay Bakshi, and I'm a program manager for Shell EFO. And welcome you all to the Q&A booth. And we have with us here Daryl Dias from Magenta Powers. Magenta Powers is into business of clean energy solutions. And let's hear a little more about Magenta Power from Daryl. In fact, you may have heard from Maxon as well in the demo day sessions. So over to you, Daryl.
Thank you, Sanjay, and good afternoon for those listening out of India. So my name is Daryl Dias. Along with Maxine Lewis, I'm the co-founder and director at Magenta. Magenta is into empowering electric mobility and making electricity clean. That's the vision. And we call ourselves as an integrated EV charging solutions company providing software to socket products and concept to commissioning services. So as a company, we are into charging services. We have our own charging equipments. We have our own in-house charging software solutions. We also provide installation services, technical consulting, and other projects for Government of India. At Magenta Group, we have three verticals. That's Magenta Power, which is into generation of clean energy using solar, wind, bio, and other means of renewable resources. At Magenta Charge Grid, we dispense the clean energy via electric vehicle charging stations that we set up and also by manufacturing our own hardware and software solutions for managing EV charging stations. And we also have the third vertical, which is Magenta Informatics, that is about managing what is generated and what is dispensed using the technology for clean energy. So that's a very brief introduction about Magenta Power and what we do as a company.
Thank you, Daryl. I'm sure we will hear from you more about your company. Let's take a few questions which we have already have in our Q&A. So the first question is coming from Naveen Kumar from Shell, and he's asking about how would you think you will be able to scale your services as it is expected to be for exponential growth into the EV business.
Absolutely. Navin has hit the nail on its head. I mean, the EV industry is expected to grow exponentially. How do we plan to scale it up? Uh, I told you as part of the introduction, we have Magenta Informatics, and that is the technology arm of Magenta Group as a whole. So it is the information technology that is going to help us scale ourselves. And not only that, as part of our business model, we have also tied up with couple of OEMs, manufacturers, and other EV industry ecosystem players in order to complete the whole value chain. Largely, we have also kind of tied up and have strategic partnerships with a lot of companies, a lot of individuals who could act as our hands, legs, and feet on the ground, in terms of sales, services, picking up projects, licensing, and all of those things. So this is how we've kind of planned our moves by strategically tying up and having partnerships with multiple people, multiple companies, multiple OEMs from product, services, and projects point of view.
Thank you.
So
Thanks,
we
Daryl.
kind of use the technology for kind of scaling it up, without having multiple people on the ground.
That's excellent. Thanks. Sorry to interrupt in the middle then.
Sorry.
So I will pick up the next question, which is coming from Shell, from Babu. The question is, how would you consider, the power price and charging price, and what is the margin and how do you make the profit? I'm saying it's kind of hitting your financial models here, but so I think the question lies primarily is how effective it is, the solution, and how competitive it is in the market today.
Well, I'll answer this in two parts. Largely, if you were to ask me about the margins, they are not much at this point in time. The reason number one being we are very much dependent on the grid, the discoms, and that does not allow us to reduce the power, the gross price of the electricity, and that's kind of limiting our ability to increase margins because if you kind of increase the tariff for charging electric vehicles, or you're going to charge the customers rupees X, you also have to keep in mind the other uh, sources of power, that is the CNG, which is rupees 2 rupees per unit. The diesel cars and the diesel vehicles, they come approximately from 4 to 5 rupees per unit. The petrols are 7 to 8 rupees per unit. So we do not have much margin at this point in time. But we have kind of models where we have timed it as per TOD. We call it the TOD based models. That is time of day. So there are certain point in time, and if you were to come and charge, the discoms gives us the power at much cheaper price. It could be during the non-peak hours of electricity consumptions. So if you were to come during those times, you could give certain discounts so that the demand side is kind of managed with the supply side. So that is how we make profit by timing it, the charging, electric vehicle charging as in the form of TODs, time of days. And not only that, the larger part of, as I told you, the second part of answering this question is, we need to quickly switch to renewable source of power, that is powering, or that is sourcing the power at our electric vehicle charging station. And that is what we are doing and have done already. In 2018 March, we kind of installed India's first solar based EV charging station. Now what has this allowed us is, not being heavily reliant or dependent on the grid. We kind of have, negated whatever consumption we have from the grid by giving the solar power generated. In that way, we've reduced the base price of electricity. Almost 50% of the charging stations installed by Magenta across India are solar based and solar enabled EV charging stations. So this is how we kind of increase the margins, as well as kind of reduce the base price of the electricity per unit. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Daryl. I think it kind of takes to my next question is which is coming from Rajesh, is on the infrastructure. Although we see this a lot of disruption in this space, but who do you think is going to take more the leading role in creating this infra within the government or the municipal organizations or the real estates? So where you think will play the larger role there?
Rajesh, she is my friend. That's a very thoughtful question indeed. At this point in time, electric vehicle charging infrastructure segment or the sector is at a nascent stage. It has not taken any of the direction, and we need to be ready to align ourselves whether is it going to be a DC fast charging stations, is it going to be an or AC charging stations. Now, to answer the question, who do you see taking a lead in setting up charging infrastructure? Is it going to be municipalities or real estate? Well, the municipalities basically are at this point in time under FAME 2 scheme. What are they doing is they're setting up network of DC fast charging stations. These definitely are not put up at residential commercial buildings. These are majorly on highways, allowing fast charging stations for long distance, and we call it as the destination charging. Whereas the real estate market basically are going to align themselves towards the AC charging. Because typically, if you were an owner of an electric vehicle, you would park your vehicle at night, probably after reaching home from your work or elsewhere. You'd park it, and you would not want a DC charging to happen at your residential buildings. So there are going to be multiple AC chargers installed at the parking lots of a real estate building. So basically, at this point in time, it is the government are setting up series of EV charging stations on highways. That is the DC fast charging station. It's going to be a mix and match, because at this point in time, electric vehicles, if you see the purchase, are income demographic. Only the top end of the bracket, or the higher income group, they are able to afford for an electric vehicle. So largely it is going to be the AC charging demand from EV charger side, Sanjay. So going ahead, probably yes, there'll be DC chargers, but at this point in time, we see multiple AC chargers getting installed in commercials and in residential building complexes and parking lots. And this also has been validated by Ministry of Housing Affairs and Urban Affairs, MOHUA, where it has mandated that at least 20% of your parking lots in your residential buildings and commercial buildings have to be electric vehicle enabled. So that's a hint where the market is going.
So now to the next question is how many charging stations which you have currently in India?
So we have installed close to 60 charging stations across 7 cities in India, 7 metropolitan cities in India.
And how many
Uh,
you plan to have in 2021 and the following next 2 years?
well, we have a very ambitious target of having at least 10,000 charging stations. Now, these are going to be a combination of DC and AC charging stations. So, a month ago, I mean, almost a month ago, a few weeks ago, we've kind of worked. We're kind of working with the municipal corporation in Mumbai, Maharashtra, and we've also tied up with E-Matrix Miles. You know, it's a two-wheeler, electric two-wheeler fleet operator. So we are going to set up 1,000+ charging stations for them in this year. So that's only about
Okay.
Maharashtra. There are other players that we are working with in northern India as well as in southern part of India.
Okay. So tell me more about, Daryl, your global expansion plan in terms of what kind of business model do you would like to follow the similar business model in other markets, and which are these markets you kind of thinking to expand your business?
Absolutely. I think that's part question asked by Richard. So, well, at this point in time, we are in India, right? But a couple of months from now, we are planning to launch ourselves in various parts of this part of the globe, largely in Middle East, UK, USA, as well as in southeastern countries such as Thailand and other similar countries. Uh, a month and a half ago, Scott Farr, managing director of Accenture, based out of Texas, he's joined our board as an advisor, and he's helping us take ourselves global into the US and UK markets. You know, so that is how we are planning to launch ourselves in global parts of this of the world. Um, well, from charger point of view, from hardware point of view, we are planning UK, Thailand, and USA. Whereas from charging and setting up charging stations and infrastructure, Middle East and Thailand are going to be the major countries that we're planning to scale ourselves into.
Mhm. Okay. Um, so I'm sure you have competition in the market. So what makes you different from the others?
Perfect. Thank you. Um, I'll answer this question. I mean, it's a very good question. I mean, what's the USP? What differentiates us, right?
Mhm.
At this point in time, there are hardware manufacturers which only and only make DC chargers, AC chargers, and they've got a huge range of products line, right? So they only make hardwares. Then there are software companies which only provide solutions for charging station, charging infrastructure, fleet operations, and a couple of other software-based solutions. Then there are companies which only operate, we call them as the CPO, which only operate charge points. So they kind of take hardware from company A, they kind of have software from company B, and they run charging stations. What differentiates us is we have our own hardware enabled by our own software, and we run and operate our own charging stations, right? So it's in the whole ecosystem, the whole value chain of charge point operator is in house. That is it's kind of integration of hardware and software. It's, to give you an analogy, it's the Tesla. They have everything in house, their whole technology in terms of R&D hardware as well as from software. That's what differentiates us, Sanjay, from our competitors.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks. So now, another question specifically, if you can help define a little bit on your market segments, how would you like to play? It is more B2B or a B2C, and where you see which are the early adapters for you, and where lies the scale and the profitability of your business.
Correct. So if on a very higher note, if I were to just touch this question, we operate with B2C, we operate with B2B as well as B2G, that is the government, right? We've kind of set up charging stations for government of India via the FAME 1 scheme, for Rajasthan Electronics, for OKAI, or for a couple of other limited and government PSUs, including EESL. So that's one segment that we kind of set up charging stations for government of India. Then comes as a B2B, where we kind of operate with fleet operators. There are a couple of fleet operators. We tell them, hey, you manage your vehicles, let the charging and the headache related to it, operations, setting up, licensing, all those things, let us operate it. So that's where we work with B2B. Couple of good clientele we've got from B2B segments. I think in the demo session as well, Maxine was introduced by the managing director Satish of triple SL, right? So he happens to be one of our clientele as well for setting up and kind of manufacturing EV and EV related products for them. When it comes to B2C, we also make customized products. There are a lot of fleet operators because there's no standardization of socket, there's no standardization of batteries, there's no standardization of vehicle, there's no standardization of protocols as of yet in India. And hence, there are a lot of requests for customizing products, customizing solutions, integrating with their vehicles, integrating with their battery technology, making special and customized products for them. So that's where we are operating with a lot of such players, specific customers. It could be a residential owner, it could be a cooperative housing society. They are, electric vehicle owners such as Konas, MG Motors, Tata, Tigors, EVs, and similar electric vehicle owners, individual ones. So this is how we've split. So we have team which operate into B2C for customized products, making EV chargers and offering them solutions. We work with B2Bs for fleet operators, malls, chains of hotels, etc. And we also work for Government of India in form of B2G.
Thanks, Daryl. Before we get into a next question, I would like to kind of again remind my audience that you can ask more questions. So you can drop your questions, write your questions in the Q&A box, and Daryl will be happy to answer these questions for you. Yeah. So please, I encourage you to please open with more questions and more tougher questions for Daryl. So having said that, so Daryl, I think we all of us would like to know a little more if you can help us brief around the product and the solution, and how it really works, and what are the key benefits and the USPs around that.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ajay. So on products, so I told you as part of ChargeGrid, we make our own electric vehicle chargers, right? The reason behind it, I'll give you a bit of context. We began in 2017 where we were sitting with, literally we were early in the morning, 4 a.m. We were sitting and operating. We were trying to understand the EV market in early 2070s with the electric three-wheeler rickshaws, tuk-tuks, as we call them in India, in Delhi, in Haryana, in Gurgaon, in Gujarat. We tried and understand the problem, and we identify, as Maxine is often quoted, we identified the 4H: heat, humidity, harmonics, and human being the most important factor that led us to making our own charges. I'll come back to it later. Let me begin with heat and humidity. As we all know that the temperature ranges in India itself, forget the global part. In India itself, it ranges from, humid up to 95, 96% of humidity range. The temperatures also soar up in some part of the country from mid 20s to 50s and 45 to 50 degrees ambient temperature. Forget the operating temperature is always higher. So that being the largest problem, we started taking when in 2018 when we set up our own EV charging stations. We kind of procured these chargers from some major players in India and globally, and we found out that They were largely imports, and even the European chargers basically could not suit the Indian conditions. So that's where we started figure out figuring out the spares and the maintenance required. And at this point in time, we've spent more on the spares than the chargers itself because of the poor quality, or largely attributed to the conditions of India, the heat, humidity, and dust. Then comes the harmonics. Typically these chargers are online because of our system and the technology that we use. So what happens is, because the power quality in India is not very much good, and they are largely installed in remotest part of the highways, some petrol stations, aloof, which are aloof. So it kind of, there's always a surge in voltage, the surge in current, there's some earthing problems. A lot of the quality, power quality never used to be good in major parts of wherever we've installed the chargers. So harmonics and the other electricity factors came into play. And the fourth problem that we came across was human. We literally did time and motion study. We installed cameras. We let the drivers use the charger, plug it into their vehicle, tap the touchscreen, and we literally found out that once you click on the touchscreen, start charge, it takes approximately 12 seconds for your vehicle to actually start charging. There's a gap of 12 seconds, 12 to 13, 14 seconds. We kind of identified that within this 12 seconds, a typical driver would tap the touchscreen, bang the machine at least 8 to 10 times. So we kind of found out that the major problem for our chargers getting spoiled and getting conked off were largely because of human intervention. So it was imminent and of most importance that we had to eliminate the human intervention from our chargers. That's where we started with a team, and we kind of made our own electric vehicle chargers. Now, we made sure that they were made as per the Indian conditions, suitable for heat and humidity across India. The chargers now have been installed in northern part in Maharashtra as well as in southern part of country where it's humid and hot. It's all going well, so there's no problem with the chargers we've made. We've also put some safety protection and the ways to identify the problems when it comes to harmonics and the power quality. So that's core part of our charger and the designs that we make. And when it comes to human intervention, we were just thinking, how do you eliminate human from, even the human coming near to our charger? We don't want them to touch our charger, because I'm a proud Indian, but we Indians do not deal well with the public property put up on the roads. So we kind of put the technology into it, where a person need not approach the charger. All that he has to do is pull the gun, plug it inside his vehicle, into his vehicle, use his mobile phone to start stop charge. And once he starts charge, all that he has to do is, even if it is not charging or anything, he taps his mobile, which he wouldn't do. That was one idea of eliminating the human intervention touching the charger. So that was one part. We also made sure that you do not need a marshal, electric vehicle charging station marshal, always stationed on the charging station, just to collect cash, make sure that everything's working fine. Because we've used technology, we kind of automated the process. So it, right from identifying the charger to the user authentication, even the payment gateways, you could see on your mobile phone how many units were consumed, what is your billing amount, how would you like to pay it, via the card, wallet system, UPI system, net banking, what the various modes of payments that we use. All of this were automated. So this is the USP of the products that we make. Recently, the chairman and managing director of HPCL inaugurated ChargeGrid Flare. Now, what is ChargeGrid Flare? ChargeGrid Flare is a unique product, the only product in India at this point in time where the electric vehicle charger is integrated in the street lights or the street lamps installed on the roads or parking lots or malls, or the service roads basically. So why is this unique? And why we proud of this product and why we call it as a flagship product is because it changes the whole dynamics. The reason being, um, at this point in time, you have to take your vehicle, you have to search for the parking location which is nearer to the charger or charging station installed, right? Rather, what we've done is you just park, and using the charge grid flare, the street lamp integrated EV charger, what we've done is you don't need to worry about finding a parking location near to the charging station. You just park, and if there's a there's this flare nearby to your parking location, all that you have to do is plug in. So we've kind of moved the dynamics. You don't need to find a parking location, rather find a charger wherever you've parked your vehicle. So these are some unique products that we make. Before this, we
What about
launched
the
ChargeGrid Pro.
security, Daryl? Sorry, if you, before you move ahead, I'm
Yeah,
sure there are thoughts coming in audience's mind. What about the security, keeping in mind this India about these charging stations in open streets? How would you ensure the assets to be kind of safe and not damaged?
beautiful. That's a beautiful question. Thanks, Ajay. I'll answer this again in two parts. Number one, there is a security of the asset, and number two, there's also a concern of theft of electricity. I'm sure if you're based out of India, you know how street smart the EV drivers and other drivers are basically, so initially we began with QR code scanning and all of those things. These guys, they always found out solutions, they have street smart solutions to kind of steal electricity, theft of electricity. They kind of use somebody else's mobile phone to scan QR code, and all of those things were happening. So we kind of, I told you, so how have we solved the theft of electricity is the charger has no switch to turn on and turn off. If you were to see our products, there are no switch, absolutely no switch, be it digital, mechanical, electrical, no switch to turn off and turn on. um, how we do is this, uh, with integrated mobile phone, the only way to start charging is using your mobile phone, right? And while you're using your mobile phone, there's no theft of electricity because there's charger identification and user authentication, both of it happening. So in the background, the owner of the charger, he understands who had come, at what time did he come, how many units did he consume, what was the mode of payment. All of these things are getting captured at the background. So this eliminates the theft of electricity. Number two, how do you take care of the charger asset security? Now, we've kind of integrated a smart solution into our charger. If you were to take this charger wherever it is installed, let's assume it's installed at place A. If you were to take this charger and install in any place, which is anywhere about 30 to 40 meters away from that place, the charger would kill itself, it would destroy itself. So it just becomes a piece of junk. You'll not be able to operate it, you'll not be able to use it. There'll no be charging happening if it goes beyond certain range from where it is destined to, or rather installed. So that's kind of the technology that we've made use of in form of geofencing, geotagging, user authentication, charger identification. We've combined this into making sure the assets are secure and there's no theft of electricity both.
Oh, that's amazing. That's good to hear. I mean, think the digital world is kind of enables and solves a lot of our problems in that. So yeah. So Daryl, we just coming to kind of an end of it. But before we do again, I would like to request the audience to put forth few more burning questions if you have in your mind. And before this question comes, there are questions on. Um, so if you would like to talk about your clients, who are your key clients? So that's something one, and yeah, and then probably I'll take the next one after that.
Sure. Uh, we've got Fortune 500 companies as our clients and collaborations, Sanjay, and we are very proud of that. Is because as a startup, you know, initially when we launched ourselves into EV segment, and we kind of hit the nail with Fortune 500 companies such as HPCL. So we've kind of electrified in terms of EV chargers. The whole township in Mumbai is using our platform, right? So that's one marquee client that we are proud of is HPCL. We've done projects for Indian Oil. We've kind of installed and commissioned their chargers in Maharashtra. One of the other bigger client, which is this was while the whole world was struggling and grappling with um, the lockdown and COVID-19 issues, we kind of bagged an order from Airport Authority of India for setting up chargers for their internal consumption, right, in Mumbai. So we've set up chargers, DC AC chargers, combination of DC AC chargers for Airports Authority of India. Well, Bajaj, now coming back from the government segment and PSUs, a couple of B2B clients we are proud of to be associated with are Bajaj Auto. We all know about the Chetak program, the Bajaj EV Chetak that got launched a couple of months ago. We did pilot, we did recce, we did site service, we did chargers, installations for them, a couple of pilot projects, a couple of pilot installations for them almost a year and a half ago. While the vehicle got launched now, we've been working with them while we were under strict NDAs and all. But one of the major clients that we work with is Bajaj Auto Limited. It's a publicly listed company. Not only that, we've also worked with Mahindra Electric. Um, we've worked with BSES, Stock Holding Corporation of India Limited. We've set up chargers for them. We've also tied up strategically with Lodha Properties, one of the major real estate company, Lodha. So we've kind of got into agreement of setting up chargers and charging stations, operating them for their consumption. For any buildings going ahead, they're going to build, they will be enabled. So it is part of the facilities that they give. Typically nowadays, if a residential complex or building is built, they have swimming pool, solar water heater, and other garden. There's a play area. Now they are also making sure that in those lists it is EV charge or electric vehicle enabled parking lots. So these are some clients. We've also worked with Siemens on software side. Uh, we've worked with Exicom. We've worked with Okayas for setting up charging stations. Power Grid Corporation of India Limited. A lot of big major clients. One of major clients that we've worked with, another major client is Nexus Malls, it's part of Blackstone Group, which has chains of malls. So we've installed EV charging stations at their malls in Chandigarh and a couple of other places as well. So it's a whole, I mean, right from government to individual clients, and these are some clients and collaborations we're proud of.
Great, thanks. So Daryl, I think you talked about your interest for expanding beyond India. Have you thought about clients in those markets? So let's talk about a market which you are very keen in stepping next, and why you want to move into that market.
Um, it's largely going to be the European market. That's the immediate target, basically the Scandinavian and the Nordic countries. And everybody knows why, because there's so many electric vehicles. It's an electric vehicle driven country. So basically we see a lot of market and potential to grow over there, these Scandinavian and Nordic countries. At the same time, Thailand has started opening up in terms of electric vehicles. Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, they have more electric vehicles than India as a whole. So these are certain countries that we are targeting immediately.
Okay, great. So that Daryl, we have got there for another few minutes,
Sure.
and let I want you to probably pitch for your, the kind of customers you're looking for, and let's assume that there's quite a few. Your customers are there in the audience now, and would you like to do ask what kind of customers you're looking for, and probably sell yourself a little bit about your product to them, that and to probably inspire them to come and connect with you probably after this session.
Thanks, Sanjay. Thanks for this opportunity. So Well, I'll again come down to the verticals that we are at. We make our own chargers, right? So while these chargers are consumed in our own charging stations, we also sell them. So we have our own list of AC chargers, the whole product portfolio of AC and DC chargers. So we basically are looking to tie up with OEMs, manufacturers of electric vehicles, because typically when they say sell vehicle, they also make sure that the charger goes along with the vehicle. So that's one. OEMs are our major targets for selling of chargers. We also are looking to strategically tie up with or partner with infra companies, such as I just gave you an example of Lodha, which is one of the major developer in India, in Maharashtra and Mumbai as well. So infra being because as it is mandated by the government of India, Ministry of India basically. So they have to make sure that 20% of their parking lots are EV enabled. So these are going to be our major clients or major, customers where I'll be able to sell electric vehicle chargers, the hardware as a solution. Now we are also looking to tie up with corporates. Okay, the corporates and the we were looking not only from hardware point of view. The corporates basically, they want charging based solution, where it's a bit tech oriented. So the reason being, they have fleet. They also have to time their employees to and fro transportation. They have to manage the drivers. They have to manage their vehicles. They have to manage the employees. All of this. So this is where the platform, the technology comes into play, Sanjay. So these are our major target customers or segments: the manufacturers, infrastructure players, corporates, and largely the public sector. We already closely working with the public sector for India at this point in time, but yes, going ahead, we'll want to kind of work hand in hand with the government of India and other PSUs, public sector units.
Great, thanks, Daryl. I think so. Every one of you heard from Daryl. So if you wanted to reach out to Magenta Power, please reach out to them. You can reach out to us. We can connect with them as well. So one last question I would have for you, Daryl, which is coming, is what is your biggest dream as Magenta Power? Is it more to become a unicorn, or something you as a vision, looking around low carbon emission vision is something which is also is critical part for Magenta Power.
So we've already been termed as Sunicorn. So obviously that is just a milestone. The vision, there's a context and a background to it, Sanjay. In my early days of my career, I worked with Schenectady Herdelia. I've worked with Godrej and Boys, and I've worked with an German company in Dubai, where my major clients were Saudi Electricity Company, Dubai Electricity Water Authority, Kuwait Oil Company, where I've contributed in making the world dirty. Honestly, with hand on my heart, I've kind of polluted the world, and that was one major reason why I thought, hey, we need to change this thing. Cannot continue for lifelong. The idea is for the world that I inherited, the life that I inherited, I need to leave it much cleaner and greener than what I inherited. So that was one reason why Maxine and I, we basically co-founded Magenta Power, and with the clean emission process, or the vision. So the idea is to empower electric mobility and make electricity clean. That's the vision, Sanjay. And whatever pollution I've contributed to this world, I, on a personal note, would want to kind of negate it via Magenta Group, right? By clean energy. So that's the main reason. And obviously, when it comes to valuations, as I told you, we already Sunicorn. So that's a title that we've got from a lot of many people. So that's it. That's the target.
Did you kind of think around a timeline? Because I think a lot of traction coming on from the governments and the policymakers in India, but it's still in the very initial stage, and combustion engine still dominates the entire play. So do you kind of anticipate, by the time the COVID kind of leaves us and we again scale up, when you think that that we would be quite dominant the way some of the European markets are?
Uh, 3 years from now, I think every second vehicle that you see in and around you on roads would be an electric vehicle. At least, if not, typically we think that, hey, when it comes to electric vehicles, we start to kind of, glamorize it into an four-wheeler. The Hyundai Konas, MG Motors. That's not how it is in India. Well, it's largely driven by two-wheelers, three-wheelers, and buses. In Mumbai and in Maharashtra and couple of Gujarat, already there are so many electric vehicle buses. The 9 feet and 9 meters and 12-meter buses already. Haryana, uh, Delhi, NCR, Noida region, as well as Gujarat. There's so many. There are almost 15 lakhs of three-wheelers, electric three-wheelers. South India, they are largely driven by two-wheelers, electric two-wheelers, such as a lot of many companies are there. So it's not only four-wheelers that are going to be. But to answer the question, my sense is 2.5 years to 3 years. We should see every second or third vehicle that we see around us would be an electric vehicle. So
But you also see that it would be primarily first, the early adopters would be the B2B, mostly the
yeah,
commercial vehicles.
yes,
And then probably the passenger would slowly kind of move into
right.
that route. One interesting question came in my mind was when you talk about India and so diverse. So what's your trend you've been seeing that which are the early adopters in India? Which are the early cities or the states which you think?
Largely, they're metropolitan, Sanjay, to be honest. You know, Mumbai being one, Delhi has kicked off in terms of electric vehicles, Delhi, Haryana, NCR region, Bangalore, Telangana, Hyderabad, the major metropolitan cities. They have been early adopters of electric vehicles. And at this point in time, as I told, it's income demographic. So the electric vehicles in India they are kind of affordable only for the higher income bracket people. So largely they are driven at this point in time. They're driven by fleet operators, aggregators, B2B markets. But very soon, once the battery prices come down globally, obviously the electric vehicle is going to be much more affordable. And even the middle income demographic or the middle income bracket people and the lower income bracket people also will be able to afford one. So it's
So,
B2B at this point.
so when you say the battery as well, so another question comes in on top of my mind is sourcing of the lithium, and then there's a lot of questions going around and the question marks around sourcing of the lithium. How challenging that would be, where certain countries are kind of holding a certain control of these lithium batteries, raw materials.
Right. So that's largely from the vehicle side of the question, Sanjay. But anyways, I'll take a shot at answering it. So, um, 42% of the vehicle cost is battery. There's nothing much in an electric vehicle. It's just again, as Maxine is quoted often, is just mobile phone on four wheels or two wheels or three wheels. So it's 42% of the vehicle, 40 to 45% of the vehicle cost is batteries. Batteries are the most expensive as well as the weakest component, as they say. Um, when it comes to sourcing the batteries, uh, at this point in time, we all know where it is sourced from, while the cells are procured from or imported into India, but there's a lot of battery management system integration, cell making, or rather the packing and packaging. That is what India has got into. Very soon, the government of India, along with ISROs and other such huge, humongous companies, Exides and Amara Rajas, they are working out. There's substantial amount of investment that has got into battery manufacturing. That's one key factor. So I'm sure government of India will figure out how to source it or rather mine it from grounds up. If not from India, but at least from countries where we can.
True. I'm sure it is not something you have to solve a problem, but it's linked with your business because if the electric vehicle is kind of disruption is kind of impacted, so the charging would have a play in that. But anyway, we are kind of have come to an end of this. Thank you, Daryl, for such a insightful sharing of your Magenta Power and the EV business in the Indian market and globally. From the audience, thank you very much for joining in for this Q&A. If you have any questions, please write back to us, and we will respond back to you and connect with Magenta Powers and Daryl and Maxine. So once again, thank you very much, Daryl, and thank you everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Thanks. Bye.